Hi folks, Scunny Magpal here again with another away day guide. This one is for Brentford. If you're heading to West London to the Brentford Community Stadium, everything you need's coming up. Okay, so Brentford. The Bees have called the G-Tech home for a few years now, but it is still one of the newest stadiums in football, having moved from Griffin Park a few seasons ago. This in itself was quite a bad thing for football in terms of the novelty of the ground, because it had a pub on each corner, which made it a fantastic mission to try and get a drink in each one before the game. And unfortunately, since moving, the drop in trade has hit them a little bit, with at least one of them, as far as I'm aware, closing, possibly more now. But on the flip side, the venues around the new stadium are benefiting hugely, and one in particular seems to be getting things absolutely spot on. But I'll talk about that one in a little while. Your capacity at Brentford is 17,250, 17,250. You'll get around 2,000 allocated to away fans, which is a pretty decent amount considering the percentage of the ground which that amounts to. And in terms of transport, it's pretty decent to get to. You've got National Rail coming in to Kew Bridge Station, which is right outside the ground, basically across the road. And then you've got the District Line serving Gunnersbury, which is maybe a 15-minute walk away, and there's an away-friendly pub on the way. That one's also served by the Overground services of London. A little bit further away, you do have a few more tube stations, with Acton Town and South Ealing, both on the Piccadilly line. They're near a 20 minutes walk away, but it's worth mentioning them because after the game, Gunnersbury will not open until an hour after the final whistle. And being the closest, it does get quite busy. It's got a very short platform and they won't let you into the station if there's risk of overcrowding. So it's worth considering the other two if you are looking for a tube back into the city centre, especially if you've got trains booked to go home, or if you're thinking of booking trains, allow time for that. But the best bit for me is probably the parking around there. So you've got some decent options. There's a leisure centre right near the ground, which will charge you £3 for the day if you get in there early enough. However, there's only about 40 to 50 spaces, and if you do head there and find it's full, it'll probably take you 20 minutes to get turned around and out the car park again because it's that congested. Failing that, further up the high street, which is the A315, there are a few public car parks in and around near hotels and stuff, which come in really handy. They're reasonably priced, and they'll leave you, again, about a 10-15 minute walk to the stadium from there. I've personally used the Ferry Quays last time, and it's sort of an underground affair in amongst some apartments and round a corner from a Premier Inn. But we didn't have to pre-book, we just turned up, found it on the day, and it was an absolute treasure to find, to be fair. The entrance to that can be found at the 3 words of Smiled Curry Gent, and then there's one a little bit closer, also an underground one, and you can find the entrance to that at Under Camps Found. And then a little bit further down towards the ground you've got the Travel Lodge, and there's another pay and display car park under there. The entrance is around the back. The 3 words of Ahead Fame Legend will get you to the ramp that takes you down under there. There are one or two others dotted around, as I say, but if you're heading in along the A315, once you get to that kind of area, it's probably best to take advantage of anything that's available because there's not much further on. But obviously, the nearer the ground, the more likely it is to be full. Moving on to pubs, if you do use those car parks, there's a really nice little quaint old village style pub but in the city called the Waterman's Arms, in between the first two that I mentioned. Putty Snake added will get you to the front of it, and it's great for real ale lovers, and if you want a hot food snack before you head in, they have a decent menu and they're served pretty quickly, and they're not that full because it's nearer to the old ground than it is the new one, so it's quite handy. But when we turned up, we were obviously away fans and we had no problem getting in, getting served, getting food. So it's not necessarily a go-to match day venue for hundreds of fans because it's quite small, but it's nice to know about if you're starving after a long journey down there. If you're coming into London by train and using the tube to get closer, as you're walking towards the stadium from Gunnersbury tube station, there is a pub called The Pilot, which is away friendly, decent size, gets plenty in, and it's sort of halfway between the station and the ground. Lost Foil Shots will find you the corner just outside there, and all in all, Brentford, it's worth mentioning, is probably one of the most away fan friendly away days in the capital. I've done most of them on match day now, and it is truly welcoming. Most pubs will let you in, most pubs will be mixed and have groups of fans all chatting together, getting on. Exactly how it should be. When I was looking into this in a little bit more detail, I found so many different venues that will gladly accommodate you, and I guess it's all down to what you prefer or where you're coming in from. But all of those other ones aside, my personal favourite is the Express Tavern. They have a little barbecue thing at the side with plenty of accommodation inside and outside. Loads of people eating, doing it the best they can to get as many people served and happy as possible. You have TVs with live sports and plenty of staff to get you lubricated efficiently. Winter Scenes Reform will take you to the front doorstep, and I can't recommend it highly enough. If you plan on staying over, you've got your hostels and stuff in the city centre, which I like to use for an overnight. But there is a Premier Inn and a Travelodge just up the road near the first two car parks, and they're quite fairly priced because they're out of that central zone. And if you book early and take the chance on it, you can get it for as little as £45 a night. You can find the Premier Inn at Alert Nests Rent, and that's pretty much on top of the Waterman's pub that I talked about earlier as well. And then sort of maybe a third of the way to the ground from there, you'll find the Travelodge at Empty Once Looks, and as I mentioned, that has a car park right underneath, which is dead handy. It's on the left as you're heading towards the ground, overlooking the river. And when you are ready to head up to the ground, the best way to give you directions is from the Express Tavern, because most people will find themselves there anyway. But you can't access it from any angle. You have to basically go up a side street and across a bridge over the railway line to get to the top right hand northeast corner of the ground where the away turnstiles are located. It's basically built in the only spare bit of land they could find, which is in the triangular bit of a railway siding where three lines come together. So the ground's kind of triangular, but it makes getting to and from it pretty tricky. So Error Wasp Spot will get you to the bridge over the railway line that you need to be going over. Your visiting support turnstiles will be H, G and F. Claps, shirts, follow will get you to the turnstiles. The stadium, as most are now, is cashless, so make sure your phone's charged up or you've got your contactless card. There are stewards around on the streets to sort of guide you and point you in the right direction, so it shouldn't be that difficult, but just in case, it's worth knowing that you can't just walk up and approach it from any angle like you can with a lot of grounds. So all in all, nice cosy small ground, great people, friendly pubs, and that pretty much sums Brentford up. As an away day, it's one of my favourites in the capital, and there's not much else left to say about it really. So if you liked what I've seen, tell the YouTube algorithm, stick a like on the video, thank you very much. Subscribing would be great as well. It'll make sure you get updated if I change anything or add any new stuff. But for now, I've been Paul, thanks for watching, catch you in the next one.